All right, another totally rewarding chats. Really excited about today. This is before we even introduce him, Paul. This is my photographer, best photography from World at Work of when I was on stage. Yeah, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Well, I didn't turn off my watch when I was on the main stage. And so yeah, people are sending you texts while you're up there, which is a little concerning. You're like, is my fly open? Like, I kind of want to look, but I don't want to look, like, because I'm getting all these messages, or how bad is it that I'm getting all these messages? But the best pictures came from Evren. So I'm excited to have him with us. Yeah, Evren, I don't know, remember what it was. I don't know. He came with the, like,
was his fly open? Like, was it that thing? Like, was it a hey Sean XYZ?
No, I think he might have put something like, hey, look at the clown I saw on stage, and sent that picture. How are you, Evren?
All good, all good. It's a great Monday here, so happy. And I think for that picture though, I got just lucky, right? So I was just right in the middle of the thing, so I just took the chance, and happy that it worked out for you. So
when no one wants to come see you, Paul, there's always good seats available right in the middle. That's how it works. And then AI, they filled in the rest of the seats as they went. That's how it goes. I'm super excited to have Evren here. I know we'll have Evren do his background, but you've worked with him a bunch too in the World of Work Committee.
Yeah.
And a wealth of knowledge. So I always learn a ton every time I'm on or get the chance to talk to Evren. So Evren, give us your background and where you're at now and how you got where you are today.
yeah, definitely. Thanks. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to Total Rewarding Chats. I'm sure it's going to be rewarding for the ones who are watching as well. So appreciate being here and seeing those smiling faces, Paul. I appreciate everything we did up to now as well.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things about myself. So originally from Turkey. After my master's, I had chance to start my HR career in Philip Morris International in abroad. So that's how I kind of moved to Poland and I started as HR generalist to start with. There I had chance to actually see all the areas within HR, what I would like more than the others, and that's how I jumped into Reward and Retain. That's how it was called, many years ago. Mm-hmm. And from there onwards, I think I took the chance to experience different aspects of Total Rewards, meaning, country kind of responsibilities, regional responsibilities, and so on and so forth. At some point in time, you start looking for different variations of Total Rewards, meaning, I had chance to change companies, move to different industries like Sony company, for example, Sony Electronics as well. And that kind of made me go back to my own country, Turkey. And then from there onwards, I started managing teams. So the leadership aspect came into play, as well as change and communications within HR evolution as well. So there I moved to a Coca-Cola company, managed a couple of transitions in there, and then with M&As joined the Whirlpool Corporation in EMEA. Afterwards, had a chance to move to global roles in the US, and since a couple of years I've been working for Amcor on different roles, leading Total Rewards, and right now I'm based out of Michigan. We are in the midst of a huge M&A, almost done with it, but it's been a journey, I should say. Looking forward to the summer just to have a little bit rest. So that would be like a quick rundown.
So the fact that you're looking forward to the summer on mid-July tells me that it's been a busy time with M&A. Because for the rest of us in the Midwest, summer's halfway done, man.
I know.
I like that he also said that the people are the ones listening. It was plural. I appreciate that, Evren. So you said you started. I just pick up on the one thing. Did you want to be, when you were at university, did you want to be in HR, or did you have a role that, how did you get into HR?
Yeah, so it's a little bit funny because I guess it goes back to my root or origins, right? So my family basically they were farmers. Now they are retired, but I grew up as a farmer. That helped me kind of have the people aspect of it. So I kind of decided to study labor economics and industrial relations, which is pretty much tied to personnel back then, now human resources, but also somewhat tied to the unions too. So Turkey is not known as the best country with unions, but there are certain industries with unions. So I was always interested in understanding the psychology behind, but also how people are kind of doing what they do, and those kind of psychological questions that you would always ask. That helped me kind of choose my path in the labor economics and industrial relations. But afterwards, intentionally, I got to know HR, and I studied HR as master's degree. So that's how I jumped into the, let's say, academics of it. And now, if you ask, purposefully, I was looking for HR jobs, and by coincidence or by luck, I managed to get one and moved to Poland for that as well, to get that sort of an experience. So I would say, in a way, I kind of crafted it, to combine the academics versus the real experience. So
that puts you about 10 standard deviations away from the norm on how people
I know.
that you on purpose wanted to be in there. So we'll have to save you on the little board somewhere. We have to go back to the count. So we asked five questions to make sure you're a human, Evren. Are you a coffee or tea person?
Coffee for sure.
Are you a coffee snob?
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. We won't expand on that.
You can admit it, like I am. Like, let's just own it, right? Like,
just own it. It's okay. You've been around in many places. So the favorite spot that you have ever vacationed?
Hard to choose, but I think it would be Maldives, most likely.
Okay. And no one's gonna argue with you on that one. So you have a weekend away, Evren. No family responsibilities, just you. They're all going somewhere else. Would you rather go somewhere to a posh, lavish resort, or would you rather go camp out in the woods?
I would choose the hybrid version, but I like to keep going. I like to keep going. So camping, for that matter. So I like really nature. So let's go camping.
I'm going to take that as a W, Paul. Move to the next question. That's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the win. So any big life events happening this month is the fourth question, Evren. I'm excited we're able to make it. Anything big happening this month?
Yeah, actually, it could happen any point in time. So if I had to drop off from this call, just my apologies. So I will be a father for the second time, hopefully sooner or later. So we're just waiting the time to come when the baby wants to. But really exciting moment for me these days.
Yeah, it is. I figured I'd get that out. You didn't cover it. I had to have a spare question in case, but you didn't cover it in the beginning. So I'm like, anything exciting? And then I'm waiting for someone to run in and grab you on the way in the middle.
Well, that just means that the Yildirim family will be a group of 4 at the next conference, because I know that you traveled as a family to the last show. So it's now you have to have one more space in the hotel room this year.
Not really. My youngest, joking, we have 3 kids. And we had to sneak her in for the longest period of time, because if you had 5 humans, it was an extra thing. And she wanted to know how old she was when she finally realized that her making a fort underneath the desk was just so that we could find another spot for her to sleep. She thought it was cool for the longest time. She fell for that for a long time. At some point, she realized we actually were just duping her.
Yeah, we're smuggling you places. It's not actually a game.
We did, actually. We would check in with 3 adults, or with 3 people, an adult and 2 kids, and then the other one would sneak in later. Yeah. Now that I'm probably going to get a bill in arrears from Marriott or
Totally.
something. Are you a crunchy or creamy peanut butter person?
Creamy peanut butter person,
Okay.
I think. Yes.
Okay. So the reason I wanted to have you on, we've talked to several people. You have managed some enormous global programs. And so just at a very high level to start, and then we can dig in. What are your secrets or best practices or two or three things that you really start with when you go somewhere else to build a scalable global program?
Yeah, I think a couple things to mention when we talk about global programs or programs in general. I think the success of it is kind of depending upon how you are implementing those programs. So what I would say, more than the technical piece that we are kind of accumulating over the years, it's more understanding the culture where you're joining at, as well as kind of building relationships with your process partners as well as your stakeholders. So would be kind of a couple things that I consistently followed over the years that whenever I made a change. And then this basically the success will follow on how you are kind of implementing on those programs. And obviously the other piece there is what kind of matters at the time of you joining the company is kind of critical too, rather than you kind of going there something in mind and trying to fit whatever the square is. I think that kind of helps you to prioritize what you're going to implement, upon building those relationships. So those would be a couple things that I would put it out there to start with, right? And then basically, as you kind of learn your job in there, you start experiencing, what the job you think was when you were kind of having those conversations versus the reality. You kind of find your way in or out in most cases too. But as long as you kind of go from there, you will find your way. So
It's interesting because I think the one thing I take from that is the flexibility piece, right? Like, I mean, actually not even having an idea of where you're going in there. And also kind of weirdly, the acceptance to what you spoke about during the job interview or whatever might not be exactly what you're inheriting. And like, at least your tone was kind of like, that's just going to happen. And so I'm going to get in, figure out what's important, figure out what's really going on. It's kind of interesting.
It's a debate I have a lot with people about what changes really from like a lower enterprise size company to a major global enterprise size company, right? And it's really with the comp tech vendors I have this debate. And one of my perspectives is, and I'm going to use a sports analogy, I apologize, but like down market, you can hire a coach with a system. Like they come in and they run man to man. Whereas in a major global enterprise, you need somebody who can build a system around the players, right? So, Evren, you might be a big believer in pay for performance doesn't work and get rid of ratings. I don't know, I'm just making it up. But up market in these big companies, you've got to be ready to say, you know what, that might be what I believe, but this is what this company needs now, right? Like you don't get hired for a solution at that stage. You're hired for the ability to diagnose a situation and deploy a good solution. So it's just a totally different mindset when you approach a company at that scale. It was what I'm hearing from you, and that's what I've sort of thought before as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I couldn't agree more, right? So I guess now, when we think of the phase of the speed, it's changing so fast. Basically, the moment you have like any sort of fixed ideas or things in mind, it's a recipe for failure. That's by default, right? Sometimes what we see, we have a lot of, let's say, options on the table. We start, kind of choosing one and then start going there. And then what we notice midway, we kind of, evolve into different options by default. Basically, business conditions are changing too. So I guess from there, not only being flexible on, how you're going to implement those, but also having empathy on yourself to start with, right? That flexibility maybe required a little bit even more, as you kind of, start implementing those programs. As long as you keep the vision in front of you that you want to kind of, what you want to do, right? So what's the expected outcome of whatever program that you have in place? Maybe you will have different paths, but you will get there, is the expectation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you think about evolving that way and you have global programs in multiple countries, what do you typically start with one or two countries? Like, how do you tackle, and I'm sure Paul will throw in, it depends, because he's consulting.
Hey,
but
I don't use those words.
Huh?
I don't use those words.
Yeah. How do you tackle kind of both understanding what's going on, and if you are rolling things out when you have so many different locations and or divisions or there's so many different ways to cut it?
Yeah, I'll just explain my approach. I'm not saying that's the best or the finest, but what worked well for me basically is the following, right? So earlier I was talking about, building relationships. So when you kind of, start your job or your kind of, program design or implementation, because it may be like you may need to make connections with different stakeholders or with different process partners on whatever you are going to implement. I would usually start with the ones that I'm thinking having more grace to failure. And the reason for that is, definitely it's not going to go smooth as, you kind of, lay out on the paper. Okay, so from there onwards, what you can do the best is talking to people, having more understanding, talking to people, kind of supporting what you are trying to do instead of blocking you, with the first failure. And basically that's how you kind of reiterate and then reach towards the end goal, wherever you want to go. So in my case, obviously you keep hearing, having global in mind, but local implementations. And we keep all those things in mind. Having said that, when it comes to the reality, you need to test it, right? So you need to build the trust with your partners, not go blindly. So the way I kind of, try to go from there is like doing some sort of pilot checking, pilot implementations, even in one country or one location, just to have the sense so that, I can inform myself where before I go like big bang. But sometimes, so that's kind of depending on what you are going to do as well, right? If it's a small change, maybe it's like one go is the best. But if it is very, very big change, I think, it's best to start, with baby steps, and then at somewhere you kind of, go once in one go, right?
Yeah. And I think what layers in, and this is just, I know something you and I have even spoken about in the past few years, is around is there even, is it a global, can you have a global impact, right? Or is it an organization that at its scale has chosen to organize around geographies, right? Where there is a leader for APAC and they've got their decision rights owning APAC, which is different than a business unit centric structure of you're the materials business, you're this business, or a global structure where everybody sort of operates together. Like the organizing discipline of the organization affects a ton of that, right? So coming in and wanting to pilot in a country may not be possible if the business is organized around business lines. Testing within a business line may not be possible if the organization's structured around geographies. So just understanding that sort of layout of how does the business run and govern itself is going to drive where you start, because that's just, you know, the power. I don't mean that as like a heavy-handed term, but like that's just how businesses make decisions, is whatever they've got leaders empowered to own something. And I know that's been we've had good debates about like, is there an optimal approach to this from a reward standpoint? And I think our common conclusion at the time was, well, it really, I'm not going to say it depends, damn it, Sean. Like it's relative to the structure of the business, right? Like,
you know, if you crawl, walk, run, your crawl, walk, run, or I guess crawl, baby steps, walk, run. I guess now that we added Evren in there to go with the baby theme, you still need a direction, right? So directionally, right, to get there, you know, so you are starting to navigate one direction or the other, whether it's by geography or whether it's by, you know, and it could end up being, you see a lot of pilots that are, to your point, Paul, it's like this division, but also this geography, you know, based on the company needs. I'm not going to say it depends on the company's needs, but based on the company's needs around where they might have things. When you test new technology, though, in those cases, do you take the places that probably need the most help, or do you take places that are in the best shape? Because I personally, I tell people, especially with AI, and some of the things, to start with the thing you know best that works, because you know when it's broken. But a lot of people have the knee-jerk reaction to take the most broken thing and try to fix it. But how do you know it's actually fixed? So I'm curious how, because you've put this into practice, this is me just prognosticating. So you've put it into practice several times. How do you tackle that with new technology?
Yeah, so when it comes to the new technology, I mean, my approach is slightly different in that case as well. So I try to find the most complex country, region, or process in this case, and basically start with that, because if it works for that, I mean, if I make it work for that, the rest is just, you know, fly or success or however you want to call it, right? So it's going to be like shining, you know, technology for the rest too. And basically the way you do that, again, you know, first you need to convince those stakeholders to perhaps, you know, having some sort of appetite to accept that new technology. But usually, you know, when you know your stakeholders, when you know your process partners, you basically know how much leverage you have to be able to go with that as well. So I guess that approach worked well for me so far. And then, you know, the fact that it solves that complexity gives me a lot of, you know, room to promote, to do campaigns around, you know, how successful it's going to be, like company-wide, region-wide as well.
Yeah.
If we could pay people in France and India, clearly we can pay you in
So do you try to take
here, right?
do you try to take the most complex, but then try to grab something that's more digestible in size and smaller? Because I mean, you say that, but like, you know, paying in France, like, would you do all of France or a division in France? Like, I mean, it's an interesting the way you're tackling it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously you should also have like a plan B as well, right? So you wouldn't just go with blind eyed, but I guess that would be, I mean, that's something that I would prefer to go with a caution as well, right? So, and the other piece is, I mean, now when you think of, you know, where we are with everything, including technology, I mean, it won't be the first company ever doing that sort of a thing, unless it's like a, you know, groundbreaking kind of new thing that, you know, we would do. So I guess, you know, there's a bunch of other examples, not even, you know, not maybe in the company itself, but externally, that we could use some business case and referencing to be able to basically get buy-in from the people in France or Germany for that matter, right? So there are like really unique European or, you know, Latin American countries that have obviously, you know, tied to certain stuff that they've been operating, and yeah.
I think some of what your sort of your strategy speaks to is the implementation isn't actually a technical problem for most companies. It's a change problem, right? So making it work is not the hard part. It's convincing the leader that it, because every leader in a big company says we're different. Every single one I've ever met in my entire career, right? We're unique, we're complex. Because they are, but not so unique and complex that we can't handle it, right? So if you start with the easy market, it actually, I have found, makes it harder to convince that more complex one that it will work. So like, oh yeah, but you only did it in the easy one. Whereas if you say, I'm going to use French payroll or, as my starting point, then everybody else is like, well, if you could figure it out for Francois, like you could figure it out for me, because everybody knows that that's hard. So it's almost like, I don't disagree with you, Sean. Sometimes you don't know if the tech is the problem if you if you start with the hardest and you hit snags, but the change management story gets easier if you start with a really complicated use case first. Because then you get believers, you get those disciples of, okay, they've solved it for that thing that we've always thought was a little bit hard.
My only concern there, watching it in practice, and I think it was interesting tying it back to what Evren said earlier, what are people's appetites and are my folks for failure? Because, if you go to move something and you chose the most complex thing, that also, I'm sure, in some fashion has a relationship to, chance of failure.
Sure.
And, the thing with payroll and other places where you pay, failure could be defined as one human not getting paid, right? And depending who that human is, could make it worse, right? And so, that's why, it is I think that's an interesting point you raised, in both those cases, Paul. Who are the business owners and who are the leaders in those places, and what is their appetite for that overall change? Are they looking for a reason to tell you it's going to fail? Or are they looking at but we only had one person had an issue and it was France. Who, fine. The one I always like to talk about, Evren, how do you manage merit? Is it very decentralized? Like a merit to me in a global organization, when you have a budget number, walk me through how you get to that budget number and then how you actually roll that out. And that to me is always an interesting one in global organizations.
Yeah, where to start, right? So the old merit. I think by now I've seen many versions, even in other companies, but even in the same company, sometimes you see different versions of how you do merit as well, right? So basically, it's kind of so now we are in the space of manufacturing. Obviously, most of our population is hourly, and we kind of follow different sort of a plan for hourly merit versus salaried. But if we are talking about the salaried one, we kind of go bottom up in budget cycle, because you ask how you kind of define the budgets. So basically, I don't know if it is really system driven or not, but we follow the budgets bottom up at the business unit or at the business group level, which ends up with the country as well. And when you think of that from global perspective, the implementation is slightly different in our case as well. And it will go to the technology basically. So for some countries, we do have the technology in place. For others, unfortunately, it's still manual. So far, hopefully in a couple years, it's going to be fully automated. We are in the journey as well. But there is variations of maturity that I would say, which would bring a lot of complexity on how to manage it, right? So I was mentioning, for instance, we are in the midst of integration right now, and obviously, population. If we are talking about people leaders who are actually the people who are nominating merit cycle, right? They have different maturity, they have different understanding. So the management, the administration of it is clearly going to be differentiated as well, so that there is success at the end. But it takes a lot of efforts at the back end. And when you multiply this with the region, with the countries, with the global perspective, then you end up accommodating a lot of pre-work and then a lot of time to process and then bunch of other time for the approvals and summaries at the end. And I see Paul is smiling because, basically it's a pain. I would.
Well, and part of it is just for those that aren't familiar with your scale and your background, but we're talking organizations 40 to over 100,000 people, are sort of the scale of the organization. So we're not talking I've only worked in companies with 10,000 people, as an operator, right? But I just want to paint that picture too, because the number of leaders you have to influence, the number of actual people putting in recommendations is at a scale that most people haven't touched, right? So I wanted to frame it in that mindset, because sometimes, I don't want to say we get judgmental, but it's well, why does it have to take so long? Why do you have to do it that way? Well, because there's I had 10,000 employees in my last company when I was in-house. You have 10,000 managers to sort of deal with, right? The stakeholder volume is so large that you just have to approach certain things with care, with time, where technology might speed it up a little bit, but it's not going to make it that much better, because it's the 10,000 people that have to do things. Yeah. That's the problem, right?
Unless we don't give managers discretion anymore.
Yeah,
right?
Just pull the humans out, then it's less of an issue. But
well, it's an interesting point. I'd be curious, Evren. They get performance as a lever, right? A lever. It is interesting in a scale that size. The math just gets bigger, Paul. To your point, the amount of time that merit takes, it's less about the calculation and a merit matrix by any particular country. It's more about all the manager to their manager to the HRBP, back down to the manager's manager to the manager, back up to the manager, and then back up to the regional HRBP, and then back. That is the time that gets eaten up, which is all about discretion. And so it's always interesting to me philosophically to debate, imagine how much faster and how much time would be saved if you just didn't give them discretion. They have performance. I know, and so do you need that anymore?
Exactly. I think, in summary, to make the merit recommendations happen in 1 week or 2 weeks, you need to work more than 6 months for sure.
Well, that's disheartening, right? But to do it faster, you have to take longer. And I know what you mean by that, the amount of preparation,
exactly,
and communication.
Not every day, yes, definitely, yeah. So, but that's the length, and then, the other piece is the ratings, obviously, right? So there is this, and perhaps that's why since the beginning I'm talking about, more than the stakeholders in some processes, especially on the execution side. Process partners become the supporter or the blocker as well, right? So take the ratings, for example, right? So obviously everything has to match, right? So assuming the ratings would be ready by then, you would then kick off the merit. But what if ratings are not ready? So you need to have a plan B for that too, because most cases it won't be 100% ready. So all those, let's say, preparations, obviously part of the project plan, but as you can kind of anticipate, nothing goes according to the plan. So you need to be flexible enough to, make the plan work according to the project, in this case. But I think the biggest, for us, the biggest improvement, I would say, we used to have a blackout period, which would kind of basically freeze everything.
Yeah. People
so
love
that nothing is impacted. And to your point, because everyone loves it, we said, okay, what could we do differently so that, there's a little bit more time to accommodate for other things that we should do. So we managed to kind of, remove the freeze so business actually can continue as we go through the process. With a caveat that we need to do a little bit back-end kind of activities meanwhile, but that was well appreciated, and that's not across the board, of course, because we don't have the technology globally yet, but it worked well. Now that's going to be a story for me to tell, for example, for other countries. So that's how I'm going to leverage. There's no need to freeze. I mean, you can continue as is. That's the process. Here is why. So as long as you explain why it takes that long, I think it's going to help too.
It's interesting to me because when I think about a lot of stuff, and in organizations, the way that they scale is they add more process and kind of become stricter. And what I hear you saying is the way that you scale to a global program is probably more flexibility and more kind of dynamic movement, which like you, Paul, one, I've never been an actual operator other than really small companies where you actually know everybody. Because I think you think about where you can actually put a face to the name, there is no chance you put a face to the name to everybody where you're at, right? I mean, they're numbered. And so to me, it is the most interesting part so far of the discussion, Evren, is that to actually have scale, you actually have to be more flexible and more creative. Whereas I think in a lot of things, as you manufacture more, as you do more, you add more process. So that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely. I think the secret now is more simplification and more flexibility on the business side as we kind of, as HR, we kind of operate or execute whatever process we need to as well. I believe the priorities on the business side is changing consistently too. So there's not much time to deal with the HR process per se, right? But we need to also do our job to help support. So the fine balance that I see actually what we can do to help them do their job while we kind of do ours as well, right? So I guess when I was talking about the freeze or the blackout, going away is a good message for them, right? So they shouldn't be worried about having a freeze or the dates or this and that. Rather, they should focus on how they can deliver value for the business.
The one thing, just to talk about flexibility for a second, I do think what I've observed is that sometimes people feel like more flexibility creates like a better outcome. And I don't know if that's always the case, right? Like you want to, some has to be constrained. So like, for example, I have one client right now, operates by business line. But in a country, you really don't want to do things two different ways across those two business lines because some of those countries happen to be in places where I have to talk about who's paid similarly to one another and they're doing similar work, right? So that's where good judgment around where does the process need to be flexible, where do the mechanics need to be flexible, but what needs to be the same, and that actually makes it easier to operate too. Like where do I need to constrain that flexibility so that we take something off the table and don't create problems later. So I do think I don't think anyone on this conversation said anything to the opposite, but it's more, I don't want the takeaway to be more flexible. That makes things go better, because there are some really harsh counter examples that show up when you're overly permissive of the philosophy straying too far from like what's going to work when two employees meet at a cocktail hour, right? Or things like that. So there's an ounce of caution I want to inject in that. And you're nodding. I think you agree. It's more knowing when do you accommodate change? When do you plan for being agile?
And the business changing too, Paul. Like
exactly.
He mentioned, there's this change happening all the time. And so I took the flexibility as not being married to what you thought or, your hypothesis at the time, because there's so many variables and exponentially more when you keep adding 20, 30 countries that, you can't stick to your original thesis, because to your point, I think you said it earlier, Evren, you're probably going to be wrong from your original thesis. Hopefully you're close, but you have to make edits.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, definitely. I think you need to define, what does flexibility mean in each situation, because it won't be the same even execution by execution either. And thanks for calling that out, really, because we at this time we should assume everything is known by everyone. So the fairness, the consistency. I mean, we need to go from there and not so much make it around, yes, flexibility 100%, go from there, but instead keeping in mind to align with what's happening in the business context too, right? Because sometimes we influence, let's say, on our processes, but sometimes we get influenced because things are changing on the business side too. So it's not all in sort of flexibility, but rather, you need to keep those sort of, dynamics in place. And that's a great example, basically, after, let's say, acquisition, what we kind of, try to pay more attention is not only the locations, the sites and the countries and whatnot, but the messaging around what we are trying to do, so that it reflects the same employee experience to both legacy organizations, right? Because the terminologies may be different, philosophies may be different, and you just need to make sure you kind of think through on the experience that they would kind of feel, and then go from there too.
Yeah, we often I make a big deal out of two words that are actually synonyms, but I use them very differently, right? Flexibility is like the willingness to bend. That's the way I think of it, right? And that's actually not a great thing in most circumstances. But agility is the willingness to change, right? So the desire to have a different plan when the plan isn't working anymore. That's not flexibility in my words. And again, I'm mincing terminology.
No.
But it's just like, do you let people go outside of band in a salary range because you don't feel like the bands are right, or do you just change the salary bands, right? That's flexibility versus agility.
To me, it's in kind of, those of us that are less educated, Paul, I would say, well, one of those is your willingness to make change, and the other is your ability to make change. And so, that's how I would read that. So I would agree with you that those are two different things, but similar, because what I hear Evren saying is, we can, we want to be ready that we can, but also we are willing to make change where change is needed, not just for the sake of change and letting them run rampant, but there's a process, but we're willing to change it. Is there any other one thing, Evren, that we missed or anything when you that comes to mind when you're managing a program at scale that we might have missed? Because, there's no way we talked in 40 minutes about managing a program.
No, I think, I guess the only other piece would be, keeping close connection with what's happening on the ground, I would say. So some may call it like the business acumen aspect of it. So yes, we are working in total rewards. Yes, we are working in HR, but I guess the experience that the people in France, we speak about a lot of France, but could be Brazil too, right? So I think the experience, the end experience that the programs kind of, reflecting to the recipients, I think that's critical too. And the way you can basically get the the feedback is to be closer to the HR, to the business or people leaders in there to understand if it is landing well. So sometimes it's more important to understand what would land, what would not, so that you can actually reiterate your plan design or communication plan for that matter. I guess maybe the last piece would be, since we are talking about global programs, it goes without saying, every country is different, cultures are totally different. Maybe there is no perfect way of messaging what you are trying to do, but the closeness or the more you are kind of embedding what you hear from the countries and hear them, the better for you to kind of successfully execute those plans and programs. So that would be my kind of last call out for that piece.
With all that in mind and your unique perspective across these large programs, if you could automagically solve one thing in all of HR, what would you solve?
Wow, that's a big one. I would like to solve the manual things that HR is doing. but more so, you know, providing like the storyteller skill to each and every joiner to HR. What I mean with that is, I mean, now the technology is like far, far away, you know, compared to whatever, but basically, I've seen we don't really know how to tell the stories that we, even if we have the data, if we don't, then it's problem itself. But even when we have the data, we basically not doing a good job to tell the story behind the data. So, you know, that would be something that I would like to solve for HR. Like when you join a company, when you join HR teams, automatically you have this skill that you actually start telling the story.
I like how you automatically did two things, by the way. So I didn't like, and it just subtly. So I guess we gave you the magic wand. You took two waves. I like that. The manual thing is good. Yeah.
Well, when you had the opportunity, just, you know.
You were flexible. You were flexible.
You wished for more wishes. Like you broke the genie rule, but that's all right.
True.
Well, you got away with it.
You got away. Thanks so much for those listening. Evren is great. If you catch him at the World at Work stuff, he is a wealth of knowledge. So reach out and give him a chat. He's done this and run amazingly well programs globally. It's mind blowing to me, some of the size of the program. Every time we talk about the size of the programs you manage, it's mind blowing to me. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your knowledge on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Sean. Thanks a lot, Paul. I think it was a very much rewarding chat for me, and I appreciate the time from both of you as well.
And tell your wife thanks for holding out at least one more hour. So that was
didn't have to interrupt us. And
pass that on. And congrats.
We got lucky.
Yeah, and congrats. It is the greatest. Kids are the greatest thing ever. So super stoked for you guys, and looking forward to hearing, you know, in a month or so from you how things are going.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks, Evren.